and thank you all for joining me on this beautiful day on the internet. My name is Tomina Jackson, and I'm the co-founder of Rolling D Workwear. But before we get too far into introductions, I would like to say a big thank you to Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference for inviting me to be here. It's such an honor, and if I'm honest, it's a little bit intimidating to be amongst all of the incredible women who are speaking at the conference this year. It's truly an amazing thing that this conference is doing, and I'm so glad that you're here to join me. Now let's get introduced. As I said, my name is Tomina, and I'm the co-founder of Rolling D Workwear. And I am a self-professed introvert. If you are also an introvert, and the only reason you're here is because you get to join the conference from the comfort of your own home this year, hello and welcome! You're good company. And if you're an extrovert and you're only joining this presentation because this is the closest thing you've had to human interaction in weeks, welcome, we're glad you're here. One of the last jobs I thought I would have was being an entrepreneur. But I'm here to share how I harnessed my strength as an introvert and launched a women's workwear business, and I hope that it encourages you, whether you're an extrovert, introvert, or something in between, to think of how you can harness your strengths and accomplish something that you're really proud of. As an introvert, I really thought that it was my desire in life to work on our farm and live a non-social media, non-sales, and non-presenting at conferences life until my mom, sister, aunt, and I were working on the farm together one day, and we had stopped for a visit. And we were talking about where to buy women's work clothes, and my aunt said, I'm wearing men's work clothes, and I have to buy them oversized because men's clothes don't fit women's bodies. And that was the moment where I just thought, no, absolutely not. No more of this. Because I couldn't buy proper workwear either. And the women in my family have been farming for generations. My grandmother was a farmer. My aunts are farmers. My mom is a farmer. And my sister and I are farmers. So women in agriculture is not something new. So where are our clothes? The ideas just started pouring in. And by the end of the day, we had compiled all of our thoughts and ideas into designs for a line of workwear. A few short months later, my other aunt, Cheryl Digby, who is an owner of a sewing factory, and I had paired up, and we had samples made, and we began testing them on the farm. Now, coming up with the ideas and the prototypes was the easy part. Starting a business felt impossible. Here I was, someone who had decided I would never work in sales. I would never have a job where I would have to actually talk to people. And I was standing in front of this massive mountain of all the things that I hated and I said I would never do. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have made a very big mistake. And the honest truth of it is, it took about a year to convince myself just to start. Since that point, I have realized that being an introvert is not a barrier. I can be exactly who I am, and that's a strength to my business. I can be successful by finding my people, asking for help, being strong in who I am, and by being brave for just a few minutes at a time. The first rule of entrepreneurship for introverts, but honestly probably applies to all personality types, is ask and you shall receive. I always say that the very best advice that has ever been given to me was given to me by my mom. And okay, that sounds super corny, but let's be honest, moms know stuff. And my mom always says, people are good. It's as easy as that. People are good. So if we take that amazing mom advice and we truly believe that people are good, then we also must believe that if people are good, then people want to help you. If people are good, then people want to see you succeed and they want to be part of your success story, which all means if people are good, then asking for help and advice is so easy. And when you're out there asking for help and advice, you're slowly going to start pulling in your people. And sometimes, especially as introverts, I think it can be really difficult to ask for assistance. Actually, sometimes just as strong, independent women, I think it can feel really difficult to ask for help. But I can tell you that from experience, it's so worth it. And as Kris Jenner says, if someone is telling you no, you're just talking to the wrong person. So there's no need to be afraid of being turned down. If someone's telling you no, you just haven't found your people yet, and they are out there, so keep asking. Before we started the production of our vests, which was the first product we launched, we needed to know some specs, like sizes and quantities and whatnot, and we had no idea where to start, but we thought someone who runs a local clothing store might be willing to help. So I got up the courage and I sent a direct message over Instagram to the store owner and asking if she would be willing to share her knowledge. And you know what? People are good, because she was happy to share her expertise. And not only that, but I had found one of the people who continues to show their support for our brand. The second rule of entrepreneurship for introverts we should discuss is recognizing the power of who you are. Or maybe you work with an introvert and you can recognize the power of your employee or coworker. Being an introvert, I know that it can feel kind of like we're living in an extroverted world. And sometimes it feels like everything would just be so much easier if you could just magically change. And if we just try hard and believe in ourselves, we can wake up one day as an outspoken, outgoing people person. But we're not promoting that here today. And I'm here to tell you that who you are is enough. You can make it work, and you do not have to change who you are. And here's the important part of that. People respond to you and your brand best when you're showing up authentically. Your customers can smell a rat, and they will sniff out if you're out here pretending to be someone that you're not. The trouble with that is that sometimes it can be a real challenge to be yourself, especially in the world of entrepreneurship and business, and it feels like girl bosses everywhere are telling you you should do this and you should never do that, and you should. And being should on that much is exhausting and it's overwhelming. And when I'm feeling like I've been should on a few too many times, I like to think of something that the great RuPaul says, which I will paraphrase for you now, that goes, if they're not the ones paying your bills, pay those folks no mind. So if someone is shoulding on you, unless they're the ones footing the bill, you don't need to worry about their opinions. I'm not saying that you should never challenge yourself, because of course you should. But you can challenge yourself while staying within your own limits. And I'll give you an example of that. Like most introverts, I hate talking on the phone. And if you're an extrovert listening to this, this is why your introverted friends are never answering your calls. It's not that we don't like you. We just don't like talking on the phone. The issue is when you have a business, you've got to talk on the phone. And this isn't something that I'm just going to magically change about myself. I have never liked talking on the phone. And if I just call somebody up, I get really flustered and embarrassed, and it's going to be a lot of uhs and ums, and I lose control of the whole conversation, and it's just going to be unsuccessful. So when I need to have a business call, I start by sending an email, and I outline all of the things that I want to discuss. Now, the thing about emails is they're not really effective. And so I send a second email, and in the second email, I send instructions to set up the call. So by the time I'm actually on the phone with someone, they know that I'm really serious because they've already heard from me at least twice. And we both know that what we're going to talk about because I've already outlined it in the email, which means that I remain controlled and professional in the call. And maybe you're already amazing at business calls, but I would encourage you to have a look at your job and see if there's any areas where you can change the situation to work better for you rather than trying to change yourself to work better for a situation. And the final rule of entrepreneurship for introverts I want to share is to be brave for 5 minutes at a time. So far, we know that people are good and we can ask for help, and that we can go forward knowing that we don't need to change our personality to be successful. But what now? So what happens when you actually need to do the difficult thing? What happens when you actually need to put yourself out there and talk to people and even be a salesperson? And if you've got 5 minutes, you can do it. There's a saying that goes, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is 1 bite at a time. So for those situations that feel a little bit scarier to face, you can just take a bite of it and set aside 5 minutes to muster up all of your courage and get something done that's going to get you just a little bit closer to your goal. The first time that I had ever sent out our first marketing email, I was terrified. We had just talked about how I don't like to talk on the phone, so talking to one person is hard enough. And here I was sending an email that was going to hundreds of people. But I just took a bite of it and I did it in 5 minutes. And you know what? Every second of those 5 minutes felt so uncomfortable. But then it was done and it was over, and I was that one step closer of where I wanted to be. I didn't eat that whole elephant, but I took 1 brave bite, and that 1 brave bite is all you need. So I hope that all of these things, asking for help, finding your people, being confident in who you are, making things work for your personality, and getting things done by being brave for 5 minutes at a time, I hope all of this speaks to you. I hope it encourages you. And ultimately, I hope that they help you find success in whatever it is that you're doing. Here at Rolling D Workwear, we are in our very first year of business, and we are still taking those brave bites. But using these methods, I have helped to launch 4 incredible products, including a vest, insulated pants, a jacket, and a parka. So what I want you to do now is head on over to Facebook or Instagram, and I would like to invite you to follow Rolling D Workwear and join our community of women who work outdoors. Thank you again to the Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference for having me here, and thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you soon over on Facebook and Instagram.